So if you ever talk about video games online, or maybe even with your own friends, you might know that Breath of the Wild causes one of two things. Either one, you're in great company and you have amazing conversations about how that game revolutionized the Zelda format for the better, never look back, everything is peaches and cream right now. And then the other is, especially if you have that opinion and you're toting it around online, you might be confronted with somebody that says, no, Breath of the Wild is definitely not as good as something like Ocarina of Time or Twilight Princess. We should go back to the old ways. And there's definitely a lot of discourse as far as whether or not we should just praise Breath of the Wild for being the best thing ever, or say it's overrated as all hell and we need to just go back to the way things were. And I was definitely kind of drawn into that discourse for a while. I thought it had to be one or the other. And one thing I have learned over time is to not look at things through a hyperbolic lens anymore. Sometimes it can be nuanced. And in this particular case, my opinion is a little more nuanced than just Breath of the Wild from now on, or should we go back to classic Zelda? It's more likely that we'll have more Breath of the Wild-like experiences in the future than we'll ever have to go back to the Twilight Princess, Wind Waker, Ocarina of Time style. But I will say this, that Breath of the Wild is amazing. I think that there, of course, should be more Breath of the Wild games. But the thing that I realize now is that it's a very different experience from Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess, and that's where the void starts to come in, because there's not a lot of games that are on the same level of quality or even trying to achieve the same exact things as what Twilight Princess and Ocarina of Time did. And so what I'm basically trying to say here is that Nintendo should have two divisions, one that is dedicated to Breath of the Wild and another new one, maybe a fractured part of the team from Breath of the Wild possibly, to continue the more traditional 3D Zelda games that we've seen during the GameCube and Wii era and stuff like that. And Nintendo 64, of course. So that's my proposition. I think it's silly that we have to sit here and be like, it has to be one or the other. I get it. These games are very expensive to make. It takes very talented people to make them. But it's Nintendo with infinite resources, and it's Zelda with its amazing, amazing track record for sales and popularity and everything. I think there's room for both. I think that there is room for now two high quality divisions that make Zelda games. We see something similar with the Resident Evil franchise now. There are two different teams that are, or maybe even three different teams, but like there's one team that is working on sequels, and there's another team that is working on remakes at the moment. And I think that's really smart. The games come out more frequently as a result because you're not feeling that 4 to 6 year dev cycle. Instead, it feels like there's every 2 years we're getting a new game from that franchise. And I would love to see something like that for Zelda. You know, it would be great to have a traditional 3D Zelda experience, not unlike Ocarina of Time, in between these Breath of the Wild sequels. It doesn't always have to be Eiji Aonuma that's always at the helm of these things. We've already seen in the past that it doesn't need to be the case. There's definitely teams that are making remakes, teams that have made all new sequels to top-down Zelda games. And I'm just saying that, yes, I know it's hard to find lightning in a bottle. It's hard to find those really talented people. But I think Nintendo can do it. I think Nintendo can absolutely draw in really amazing talent because they want to have their names attached to the Zelda brand. I just want to see games like the Ocarina of Time games again. Again, love Breath of the Wild for what it is. There was definitely a short period of time where I had a little bit of disdain for something like Tears of the Kingdom because it's just not enough of the good stuff from Twilight Princess and stuff for it to feel like this is the true successor anymore. Like, I thought for sure we'd see a lot more traditional classic Zelda elements thrown in on top of the open world, format. But we didn't see that yet, at least not yet. And so while I'm all for that genre, that new take on the Zelda formula to evolve and become better, I'm not trying to say that we should keep it restrained so that these traditional 3D Zelda experiences can really shine or thrive or anything like that. No, I think that both should be pushing themselves to be the best that they can be. But, I mean, no matter what, something is lost when you go with this new Breath of the Wild format. So all I'm saying is let's get both. I think that that's not an unreasonable request. I think Nintendo has the resources to do it. I think that from a business standpoint, there will be a good return on investment if they do that. Sometimes it's not about maximizing profits. Sometimes it is about just feeding the things that just kind of give you a good reputation, because in the end, those customers keep coming back. That's your hardcore fan base. So really quick too, just to kind of add, I mentioned this on Twitter and man, I got a lot of responses. So anyways, let's read a few of these ones together. This one says, I don't think Ocarina of Time Zelda and Breath of the Wild Zelda are that far apart. The only massive change lies in the dungeon items and the subsequent design of said dungeons and usage outside of them. The open world aspect is something that Zelda games lost from Ocarina of Time to Skyward Sword, so it's not truly new. I disagree with this a little bit. I guess what you're trying to say is that you could possibly rein in Breath of the Wild a bit more so that it just feels like the absolute best Ocarina of Time style scenario that you could possibly get. We could see something really cool out of that, but I think that something that you definitely lose as a result of trying to maintain such a large world is that you do lose a little bit of that polish to the cinematic storytelling that you do see in these more condensed, controlled adventures. Tears of the Kingdom is such a great example where, yeah, you can tackle things in almost any order, but as a result, the storytellers felt the need to repeat story beats in every single scenario just in case you went to that one first. You know, stuff like that really kind of hurts the quality of the storytelling. So many other aspects that we can obviously list off, like items and dungeons, more intricately designed dungeons, as well as, like I just mentioned a second ago, cutscenes being a little bit more controlled and a little bit more cinematic than we're seeing in these Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom styled games. This person says, nah. Those games exist. The future is unknown and bright. I trust Onuma's team to deliver something wildly different next. I mean, it's possible. I wouldn't trust it. The only thing that we can truly trust is that the team will do what they decide they want to do. I think that Tears of the Kingdom is definitely like an example of the team really just sort of having their own vision and completely blocking out any feedback from fans. We will just get whatever they want to give us, and I'm okay with that. Is it bright? Is the future bright? Sure. But here's the thing that I'm definitely making as a point here, that the style of games that Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, and Wind Waker make are definitely wholly different from almost anything we're seeing outside of anything in the industry. And so to lose that to me is something that I feel like, let's propose something where we don't have to lose this style of game, because it was special. Yes, those games exist. Yes, you can go back and play them. But as someone who continues to game and continues to look forward to new releases and stuff, I still want to be able to experience another Zelda game like that before, before we're done playing video games. So yeah, I mean, like, again, there was a lot of comments there. I don't want to make this video too long or anything, but like, that's basically my takeaway here is, let's stop saying that, oh, Breath of the Wild is terrible. It's never been terrible. It's not terrible. It's just a different type of game, and it's really good at what it does. So let's give credits where it's due, but also let's not snap the rubber band in the other direction either. Like, Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess and Wind Waker and Majora's Mask, I know I haven't been mentioning that much in this video, they're all amazing games, worthy of sequels that are emulated in the style of those games because they are so well crafted. And again, to deny one or the other, I think that's the point I'm trying to make, is that it's too silly to just abandon something that is great and has worked so well. That's why I feel like we should have both. But anyways, those are my opinions. I'm very excited to see what you guys think. I'm sure this is a very nuanced topic, so I'm really interested in what you have to say. All right, but other than that, take care.